Hey there, welcome to Craft Central Designs. Today I have for you 3 very pretty Easter decor pieces. 2 wood eggs made from the Dollar Tree woodblock egg and 1 wood bunny from the Hobby Lobby woodblock bunny. I created these pieces for a very special reason, for a very special place that I'm going to tell you all about in my next video. Very excited. I thought I would take you along with me today as I create these pieces. These projects turned out so pretty, and they were so easy and inexpensive to create with wood block pieces, ribbons, scrapbook paper, and trims. Welcome to my channel today. I hope you will subscribe if you are not currently, and share this tutorial with others, with your friends, with your relatives and acquaintances, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this content today. And as always, your questions and comments are always welcomed. Okay, let's get busy creating these very pretty Easter decor pieces. No doubt you are familiar, if you follow my channel, with this woodblock egg from the Dollar Tree. Now, I know, we're having a problem finding these eggs, so I'm understanding from the messages. I feel very badly about that. Unfortunately, I don't know what's going on with Dollar Tree, but let's talk more about that in a minute. I have an assortment of ribbons. I have Snow White Waverly chalk paint, a zip sander, and I have a very pretty napkin with rabbits that I got at Home Goods. Now, this egg is going to turn out so pretty, and it has like a little bit of a farmhouse vibe, and I think it is just absolutely lovely. I have there some wire to create my ribbon or my bows, and scissors, and of course Aleene's tacky glue, a paintbrush, sponge applicator, and I'm also going to use my mini Cricut heat press. You will need some Mod Podge. I'm using a little piece of painter's tape there to separate the napkin. And I just pull that off very easily, and I just want that very thin ply that has the bunnies on it. I'm going to cover the front and the back of my egg. Now I'm going to use the dry heat method by using my mini Cricut heat press, which you see it here, but you don't have to have one of those. You can just use an iron with no steam, and that works just fine. So I'm going to put a nice generous layer of Mod Podge with my sponge applicator that I pick up usually at the Dollar Tree, but very easy to find these most anywhere: Walmart, Home Depot, any craft store. So I cover the egg in its entirety on the front and the back, and I'm going to let that completely dry. Okay, now I'm going to take my napkin and I'm going to place it down on my egg so that I have exactly the bunnies positioned the way I want them. To get the most from that napkin, I want to really showcase as many of those bunnies as I can. So I lay that down very precisely on that dry Mod Podge on the egg. And I'm going to use a piece of parchment paper. If you're not familiar with this method, this is the most phenomenal method of applying a napkin to a surface. So I'm going to take my mini Cricut heat press, and I'm going to simply run my press over the egg, and that is going to reactivate my Mod Podge and adhere that napkin to that egg so beautifully and so smoothly and so perfectly. This is, oh my goodness, the best method of doing this with a napkin. And I love to use napkins. Home Goods, oh my goodness, they have the most beautiful napkins right now. Spring napkins, Easter napkins, just whatever you are looking for. They have a tremendous assortment, and they're very good quality napkins, and they're very pretty. Okay, so that is beautifully adhered. Now I'm just going to take my scissors and trim around that a little bit to get rid of most of that excess napkin. And then I'm going to use my zip sander and just go around the edges, and that just cleans up the edges so beautifully. Now you can use a zip sander, a sanding block, a piece of sandpaper, even an emery board, a nail file, anything like that. And that will just clean up the edges so perfectly. And there is my zip sander. I believe I got mine on Amazon at some point in time. I've had that for a couple of years, and it comes with like a gazillion replacement sandpapers. So that's why it's lasted me for so long. But oh, it's really awesome. You get the cleanest edge. Now, I don't think I mentioned it, but I painted all of my pieces, front, back, sides, everything. Now, my bunny, I actually recycled. It was decorated before, so I just used my orbital sander to just go over the whole thing and get rid of any residue from Mod Podge or anything like that. But I do paint my pieces, and I use Snow White Waverly chalk paint to do that. Now, I have a green ribbon. It's very similar to the green in the napkin. So I love to decorate the sides of my wood pieces. I just think it just gives it such a finished look. So if you follow my channel, you know I always do that. Sorry, I'm a little out of frame there, but I'm just placing that ribbon right down the center of the sides of my wood egg. Now you're going to see me later put an additional trim over the top of that ribbon, and it is so pretty. Now, at first I thought I was just going to, just use that ribbon, but then I ended up adding this really pretty trim, and I'm glad I had the green ribbon underneath the trim because that gave it a really pretty look. All right, so look at my beautiful bunnies. Okay, if you can see there, these bunnies have flowers on their head. I don't know if you can see that, but the print on the napkin, there's flowers on the heads of the bunnies. So I'm going to take my little paper flowers that I get from Hobby Lobby, and they're the Paper Studio brand. So they're in that aisle where all of the stamps and the stickers and the little embellishments that you can get for scrapbooking and the like. They're all in that aisle, and every other week they're 40% off, and I always keep those little flowers on hand. And I thought it would be just a great idea to add those to wherever there was actually a flower on that bunny. I added the little paper flowers, and it gave it a little dimension and dressed it up just a little bit. Now, this piece turns out so pretty. I am not a person who decorates in farmhouse, but I'm telling you, I think this would be so beautiful in that type of decor. But I absolutely love this piece, and I love doing farmhouse pieces. It's just that I decorate in a different style a lot. I'm really into coastal, and I live in Florida, so that's pretty natural for a Floridian to do that. But I'm also into boho, but I like all styles. I love just decorating in all different types of styles when I do pieces, when I do crafting. I love doing all different styles. Okay, so I have this really pretty trim. It's actually little flowers. And I want to say that I got that at Walmart. I think it's a Walmart trim. Now, notice I am not putting that thick lace trim on the bottom. These eggs are not that easy to stand up anyway, so to place that lace on the bottom, yeah, that would really probably cause it to just continuously tip over. I'm thinking about, and I haven't done it yet, but I'm thinking about taking a couple of Jenga blocks anyway and placing them at the base of this egg because, they'll sit fine if it's a perfectly, flat surface. And if the wind doesn't blow, which, you open up the front door and the egg will be on its side. So, yeah. So I'm thinking of taking a couple of Jenga blocks and painting them white, maybe even covering them with that napkin so they would match and putting them at the base. And like I mentioned, these pieces are actually not for me. They are for a very special place that I'm going to tell you all about next week. I am very, very excited. And I'm going to actually do a video and talk about it with you. So hopefully you'll look forward to that. I'm doing that next week. Look how pretty that is on top of that green ribbon. Yeah, I love that. And I love the little flowers. I did that on both sides. And I think I just used Aleene's Techie Glue to adhere those. Or you could use hot glue. It doesn't matter. All right, now I need a little bit of color on this egg. So I wanted to add a nice, pretty pink. Now I'm going to cut 3 pieces of this polka dot ribbon. It's pink with tiny white polka dots. I cut 1 in 14 inches, 1 in 12, 1 in 10. I fold each of those in half. Crease it a little bit so I can see that little line, the midline. I'm going to fold my loop over, making sure that the right side of my ribbon is facing up. And I'm going to create a little draping bow configuration for the top of my egg. Now, if you follow my channel, you've seen me do something like this before. I love doing this on these eggs. So I find my center point, crease it a little bit, fold it over, use a little bit of glue right there in the center. I just use my Gorilla Hot Glue. And I'm going to do that to all 3 pieces. And this is going to create a draping of pretty ribbon over the top of my egg. Yeah. Now, if you follow my channel, you know I am all about ribbons and bows. Yeah, and this piece was no different. I really added a lot to the top of this piece, which really added to the beauty of this piece ultimately. So I'm using a few different ribbons on this one. I used that little kind of gingham check around the side. I used that lace around the side. This is a pink ribbon with white polka dots. And then I'm going to use a gingham check in white and that same green that's on that napkin. And then additionally, I use a white satin and that very pretty narrow ribbon with the flowers that I use so often. I'm going to show you all this, but I'm just making a point. And that point is mix your ribbons, create visual interest. This is what makes a piece beautiful. Okay, so I stacked starting with the largest on the bottom, and then I graduated to the smallest with a little dab of glue on the top. Now to get my bows there, my loops to behave, I'm just going to put a little dab of glue under them. And in doing so, that's going to keep them nice and straight on that piece. Now I'm going to be creating a bow with those 3 ribbons that I just mentioned, and that's going to be popped right in the center of that bow configuration. I call this a line bow. I don't know what anyone else calls it. I don't know if anyone else even does this. I just make it up as I go along. But for me, this egg with that on the top, draping over the egg, is just such a pretty touch to really dress up this egg. Now, this gingham check, I got this at Walmart at some point in time, and it just happens to be the perfect shade of green. So I'm going to make my base of my bow with this gingham check. Now I want my loops to fit nicely inside of that pink ribbon that's on the top of there, that line bow. I am using my fold over method where I fold over my loops, pinch it in the center, twist the ribbon so I always have the right side up. And I'm going to create a 4-loop bow. This is going to be the base of my bow, and I'm going to add 2 different ribbons on top of this. So this is going to be very, very pretty on top of this piece. Now, I'm not going to create a center to any of my bows that I'll be making here because I'm going to put a very pretty little paper flower right in the center of the bow. So I use my 26 gauge floral wire. I use it so much, and I get this at the Dollar Tree. So I use that to hold my loops. And I like this rather than a pipe cleaner for small bows because it's much easier to conceal. And a pipe cleaner would be rather bulky, and I don't need bulky on this small bow that's going to go on top of the egg. So I'm using that wire because it really is pretty easy to conceal that. Okay, that's going to sit right there. Now, I'm going to use a white satin. Now, I think that gingham check is 7/8 inch. Okay, that satin ribbon is a Walmart ribbon, and that is 5/8 inch. Little bit more narrow than that green one, which is 7/8. So I'm creating another 4-loop bow. This one I did in kind of a figure 8. I have a number, obviously you can see I have a number of different bow designs that I do, and I am going to do a bow tutorial coming up here in the weeks to come. And I'm going to include all of these different types of bows that I do. The line bow, the figure 8, the standard big bows that I do, mixed ribbon bows, and I also have a wood block piece that my son and I created to do little bows that is awesome. So great to have and easy to make. And I'll be going over all the bows at that time. So I do have bow tutorials in my playlist, but they kind of get buried with time because I produce 2 to 3 videos a week. So yeah, it's been a while since I've done one. So I'm going to do one and include all of the different types of bows. And I'm going to talk about different types of ribbons, the best ones to use, the best places to purchase them, and so on. Okay, so now for this one, yes, I'm using this sheer pink polka dot ribbon, and this one, this one is from Walmart, and it's 3/8 inch. So it's a little bit more narrow than the white satin. So as you can see, my largest width ribbon is on the bottom. The next smallest is on top of that. And then this one is even a little bit less. And this one is going to go right on top. Very pretty. On top of that, really picks up. We have the two different polka dots now. Now, you can use whatever ribbon, I'm sorry. Yeah, but you can use whatever ribbons you want. But what I meant to say was, you could put this egg together in any style that you like by purchasing any type of napkin that you like. You could do all flowers, a floral napkin. You could look for another type of Easter-related napkin. This is just the most fun projects to place these napkins on these wood pieces. Oh boy, which reminds me of Dollar Tree. I don't know what's going on. Has anybody noticed some weird changes in Dollar Tree? I have. Okay, no longer can I find a wreath frame at the Dollar Tree. I also noticed that early on, when the Easter items first came out, that's when I grabbed like 6 wood eggs and a few bunnies and the chick. But I haven't seen much of that anywhere, and I frequent a number of different Dollar Trees in my travels. And and I noticed that there's a whole lot more empty spaces in Dollar Tree. And their Easter is nothing like the Easter items from last year. Has anyone noticed this? Now, I'm thinking that in the future, I'm thinking either I'm going to have someone cut out my wood pieces for me, or I'm going to do it because I actually have a jigsaw. Yes, my son got that for me for Christmas. Now, we might have to just start doing it for ourselves here. So we'll see, because I can't imagine not doing this type of crafting, where I have the wood pieces. This egg would be so easy to cut out with a jigsaw. It would be so easy. Okay, so anyway, let me know if you guys notice anything weird about the Dollar Tree. I also know that on social media that I'm seeing that other types of dollar stores are going out of business. And then you hear the talk about Dollar Tree increasing their prices. And then also that the stocks are down for Dollar Tree. I saw that on the news. Yeah, you guys tell me what you've been noticing about Dollar Tree, because I'm getting very suspicious. I could be wrong, but anyway. Okay, so I glued all of my bows together. Now I am going to glue them right to the very top of my egg. Now, this bow is facing a little bit forward, not quite sitting flat on top of the egg. I do have my paper flower on there while I was talking away. That paper flower got put on right in the center of the bow. Now, this egg I want to be, attractive from both sides. So I'm going to create another couple of bows in that gingham check, and I'm going to pop them on the back side. So do you see the way I have that sitting at the top? It's a little bit sitting on the top, but for the most part, it's facing forward. Now, I'm creating these bows to pop in those empty spaces on the very top and then on the back side. That way, this piece is going to be pretty from all angles. So I created another one of those bows. Now I'm going to put it on the back side. And then I created another little small one and popped that right on the very top. There was a little space between the bow in the front and the bow in the back. And I just made a little 2-loop bow and popped it right in there, and that filled the space. And I am going to show you that. Sorry, a little out of frame here. Sometimes I get going and I don't realize that I'm out of frame. But don't worry, I'm going to show you all of this, exactly what I did. So, of course, everything is just hot glued. Now, I at least have something going down the back side of my egg. Okay, see, I put a bow there. And then I've put another little loop, 2-loop bow, right on the very top, and I popped it in there to fill the space. I put another little paper flower. Now, this one doesn't have the white on the back, but that's okay because the piece does have primarily one, a front side. I just didn't want the other, the back side to be not finished. I am in love with this egg. Tell me what you think of this one. Okay, time for the bunny. All right, so makes me a little sad to be using this scrapbook paper because I got this at Joann's, and yeah, my dog is dreaming. I don't know if you just heard that, but if you hear that noise, that's my dog. She's having a dream. Okay, so I'm going to trace around my bunny. Now, this one, as I mentioned, I had used this for another project, I think last year. So I just pulled the paper off and just took my my orbital sander, that's what I meant to say, to it and just, cleaned it up a little bit. And now I'm going to repurpose it and do this bunny, which is going to be pink with white polka dots. I have some very small black buttons that I got in the sewing department at Hobby Lobby. And I have a very pretty bow here that I used on something else. But I couldn't, unfortunately, duplicate that bow for the back side. And again, I want these... Oh, good heavens, she's dreaming. Can you hear that? Good. Oh, my. Yeah, everything happens here. This is real life, all right? Oh my. Okay, so I'm going to cover my bunny with a nice generous layer of Mod Podge. Now this is a very sturdy scrapbook paper, so I can go a little bit heavier on my Mod Podge. Now I'm going to be placing that paper on the damp Mod Podge. I'm not going to be using a zip sander to clean up the edges. I'm going to be using my sharp scissors. Of course, I'm covering the front and the back. Be careful when you do this, that you are, oh my goodness, that you are cutting it out correctly. I'm going to wake my dog up. I'll be right back. Okay, so I had to wake her up from her dream. Who knows what was going on in there. Okay, so I put my paper on, and be sure what I was saying before. Be sure that you cut your paper out correctly for the back side. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry off to the side. I wait till it dries before I start trimming it up. Now, for one of my little bows that's going to go on this egg that I'm going to be creating. This is for the pink egg. So I kind of moved over to another project, but let me just tell you what I'm doing here. I'm creating a ribbon for my pink egg. And I wanted to do this beautiful pink flower trim that I got in the spring shop at Hobby Lobby. And I wanted to place it on the white, I think it's a grosgrain ribbon that I had in my stash. So I just used some Aleene's Techie glue and I glued that on. And now I am back to the bunny, but I was doing that so it would have time to dry before I move on to that pink egg. Okay, so that trim, by the way, is in the ribbon section in the spring shop at Hobby Lobby. It's very pretty, and I'm actually going to be using it on this bunny. Now, my bunny and my pink egg that I did, they're kind of meant to be a set. for decor, for Easter decor. So I'm putting that pink flower trim on my bunny. Now I use Aleene's Techie, and I'm just going around the edges, placing that right down the center of the sides of my bunny. Now I did one half at a time so it would have time to dry properly. I had to, get into the grooves of that bunny, like on the neck area and all that. So I wanted to be sure it was drying properly, so I just let it sit there for a bit. Okay, now I'm doing bows for each side of the bunny to be placed at the neck. So I'm using this really pretty sheer ribbon from Walmart, and it has a little bit of satin trim on the edges. Very pretty, very, very pretty ribbon. So I'm just creating a 4-loop bow, and I'm going to be placing a couple of different ribbons on top of that. I'm going to use a white with little polka dots, and then also that very pretty flowered white and very narrow ribbon that I use so often from Walmart. But one thing at a time, I wrap my wire around this little bow. I don't want it too big. I want to say my loops are about 3 inches. And I just angle the tails of my ribbon. And I just use my wire, of course, because it's much easier to conceal on those small, narrow ribbon bows that I'm creating. Okay, this is the white ribbon with a little white polka dots. You can't really see it probably from on the video, but it's a very cute little ribbon. And that ribbon is 3/8 inch. Again, using my wire, doing a 4-loop bow. I think I did that in a figure 8 style. And then I pull my wire super tight in the center, and that helps to scrunch up my ribbons in the center, and I like the look of that. And then on top of that, I'm going to place this very pretty, love this ribbon. I use it so much. It's from Walmart. It has little flowers on it. That ribbon is 3/8 inch as well. I'm creating a 4-loop bow. And then for the center of this bow, I have some very pretty paper. I think they're like paper roses that I had gotten in the Paper Studios section at Hobby Lobby. It's a lighter pink. I'll show you those here in just a second. But just so pretty. So pretty on this rabbit. So I'm going to snip off my excess wire. I use my old scissors for that. And I'm just going to stack those by putting a little dab of glue right in the center. And for the center of this bow, as I mentioned, they had a couple of different shades of pink. They're kind of like papery roses. Again, they're in that section where all the Paper Studio items are, as well as some other brand names, but I never pass that aisle by because I tell you, I can find something to put in the center of a bow there like nobody's business. Okay, these are my needle nose pliers that I like to use to really squish the centers of my bow. When I have like these small bows, I really like to use those, and that's what I was just doing there in case you wondered. And I'm going to have to do 2 of those because I want, again, the rabbit to be pretty from all sides. All right, here's those paper roses. They come with a little wire on the back, but they're super pretty. They're very well made. And I decided on the lighter pink one. So I'm going to use 2 of those, obviously, because I'm going to have the 2 bows, which you can see right there. And I'm just going to hot glue that after I snip off the wire from the back. And then I have 2 very pretty centers to my very pretty little white bows that are going to go on the neck of my bunnies and really adorn the front of the bunny and the back, well, front and back, depends on how you're looking at it, for this piece. And it's going to be so pretty. I did angle all my tails. My base bow, I always leave the longest tails, and then I graduate the length of my tails as I go up the bow. All right, so I have my little black buttons that's just going to serve perfectly as little eyes. Now I am going to go in later with just the tiniest dot of white paint and put a light in the eye. I thought, oh, let me try it here and there, but of course I ended up on kind of like the back of the neck. I put some hot glue down, and I angled my bow just a little bit. You'll see me doing that. I don't want it straight up and down. Just like that. Now this is just coming along so cute. I tell you, the possibilities are endless with these wood pieces. So, yeah, let's see what happens with Dollar Tree. Now, you can get wood pieces of different kinds at Hobby Lobby. And also, Michael's has some really cute wood pieces, but I haven't seen exactly the ones, that Dollar Tree normally carries year to year, but yeah, I got mine so early, and I even made a video back when I got them to urge you guys to get yours if you think that these kind of projects are what you want to do. But I feel really bad because I'm getting so many messages that you all are frustrated not being able to find these. So yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out for you. I'm going to cut to the bottom of this. I need to find out what's going on. Maybe I could come up with some patterns for wood pieces in the future if you could get someone to cut them out for you. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay, so I was originally going to use like one of the bunny tails or a pom-pom, any average pom-pom that you could find at a craft store. But then I remembered that I had this white fur that I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and I thought it would lay better on the tail, not be quite so puffy, if you will. So I cut out a piece that looked like it was going to just about fit on that tail end of the bunny, and I glued it on, and then I trimmed around it, where the wood is. So I did it for the front of or both sides, let's just put it that way, both sides of the bunny. And then I also cut a little strip to put in between the two on both sides. Right, I don't know if you could see that, where the sides of the bunny is. I didn't want to leave that area open, so I also covered that with some of that fur. I'll show you this later, how I finished it. I don't know if I show you exactly here, but I did do both sides. You can see where I pulled off. I actually glued that pom-pom on there and then pulled it off. Okay. On to this egg, which I think is so pretty. All right, you all may recognize, if you watch my channel, I made 3 bunnies that sat on a little beaded tray. And I used a pink plaid, a pink polka dot, and pink flowers. These are all scrapbook papers from Joann's. and I am going to use them for 3 sections of my egg. I love the combination so much that I'm doing it on the egg. Now what I do is I take my ruler and I measure up 2 inches from the bottom and I draw a line. Then I measure down 2 inches from the top and I draw a line. The center section of my egg is going to obviously be bigger than my other 2 sections, but this is the way I'm dividing my egg. Okay, quite simply, by using that line, just place it on the edge of your scrapbook paper and then just trace around the egg. And this is going to give you the piece that goes in that section. Just use a pencil just like that. This is super easy to do. Cut it out. I'm going to cover the front and the back of the egg. So every section, I create 2 pieces. I use the first piece that I cut out as a template to trace around for the other pieces, just to keep it simple. Okay, so now I have the first section all done. That's my pink polka dot. Now you could do whatever you want with this egg. You could put one solid piece of scrapbook paper. You could do sections like I did. You could do different colors, different patterns. Just have fun with it. Mix it up. Mix your patterns. Oh my gosh, what an effect that has on a piece. Okay, so now I'm going to do my center section. So I'm going to go ahead and take that line that I created there toward the bottom, and I'm going to use that to place on the edge of my scrapbook paper. Then I'm going to use my other line at the top as a guide to start right there, trace around it, and then I just take my ruler, draw a straight line to connect those 2 lines, and then I have my center. It's super easy to do this. And I cut that out. And then we'll do the top section. The top section is going to be the pink plaid. And do I ever love that pink plaid? I tell you, I am going to miss Joann's brand of scrapbook paper. Oh my gosh. And I love Hobby Lobby too. I do. And I always talk about that and how often I buy my papers there. But honestly, this line of scrapbook paper, oh my goodness. It's just one of the more frequent reasons why I ever go to Joann's. And I do have in the past so many times gone there for that. I do love fabric as well, and they do have some really cool ribbons and all that. So, yeah, I'm going to miss Joann's. I'm very sad. Yeah, I'm very sad about that. And now on top of it, I don't know. I keep talking about Dollar Tree, but I do use some things from the Dollar Tree, especially the wreath frames. Why is it no one can get a wreath frame from the Dollar Tree right now? I've heard it over and over. People say there's no wreath frames at the Dollar Tree. That was a standard item there, no matter what. If you couldn't find anything else, you could always find a wreath frame. And now, all of a sudden, guys, let me know what you think about the Dollar Tree situation. Okay, enough about that. I keep getting sidetracked with that because it's on my mind because I keep getting these messages and I just feel so bad that you all are not able to find these wood pieces. Okay, so just putting Mod Podge on here. You could use a glue stick if you like. Up to you, doesn't matter. So I just put all my sections on, lined everything up on both sides, and oh my goodness, it's coming together pretty. Very, very pretty. Okay, front and back. Okay, now one of my favorite parts is decorating the egg. Now from Hobby Lobby and the sewing department, they have some really pretty trims. So I got this pretty white flower trim. And the funny thing is when I was inside, this trim looked really, really white. And then when I took it outside to film, because I like to do the introduction of the projects outside with the natural light, I noticed it looked a little bit off-white, but yeah, it looks really white to me while I was creating this piece. So yeah, but fortunately this piece is going to be on the inside, and doesn't matter really how it looks on the outside. But so I'm going to begin by placing a fine stream of glue and this narrow ribbon that I love so much with the flowers on it. 3/8 inch from Walmart. Same one I just used on the bow. And I'm going to put that on the delineation of the sections. Then right down the center of my main section, the wide section of the egg, I'm going to put that flower trim. Now this is going to be so pretty. So I just eyeball it, try and put a nice straight line right down the center, which I think I did pretty well. And I use Aleene's tacky for this, as you can see. Now I pat down my little flower trim, and I take a good look at it, make sure I have it straight before it starts to dry. So I'm taking a good look at it here. Now you can just go crazy with the trims, with the ribbons. You can use pearls. You can use little tiny paper flowers, rickrack, thin rickrack, thicker rickrack. Oh my gosh. Have fun with it if you, in fact, are able to make this piece. Or if you're able to have someone just cut one out for you. If you need the basic dimensions of this egg, just email me. My email is in the description box. If you can get somebody to cut this out for you, I will do my best to give you the dimensions so that you could just kind of sketch it out and have someone just cut this for you out of a piece of wood. This might be what we might have to end up doing in the future, so I guess we better be thinking about how we're going to do that. Okay, so on each side, on the top and on the bottom of my flower trim, I'm using this very tiny, tiny rickrack from the sewing department at Hobby Lobby. Love, love this rickrack. Now, I'm not worried about trimming anything off on the sides yet. I actually like to wait until that's dry before I do that. Now, I have this other trim from the same department at Hobby Lobby, and it has hearts. So I decided to add some of these heavy lace hearts on my egg. Now, you can do whatever you want with yours. I'm doing me here. I like the idea of putting these little hearts on my egg. So I cut them out, and now I'm placing one right in the center over my very pretty little flower ribbon. Then I decided I was going to do 3 more and put those over the ribbon along the bottom. And again, I just used my Aleene's Tacky Glue, and I love it. I think it is so pretty. Okay, now I'm going to go about trimming everything up. Now I just take the blade of my sharp scissors, which, by the way, I need to replace. It's time. Boy, do I use a pair of scissors. Yeah, with all the crafting I do, it's no wonder it wears out. But they're still sharp enough to trim off all of that excess, including the flower trim. Now for my flower trim, I did put a little additional amount of glue there to hold the petals down once I trimmed that off on the sides. Okay, so I am going to now I remember I mentioned that these two pieces, the rabbit and the egg, are meant to be kind of a pair. And so I'm adding on the sides of my egg this very pretty flower trim that you saw me use on the bunny. And I felt that this would kind of coordinate them with one another. So I used my Aliens Techie and drape that over my egg, but I did not put it on the bottom. Remember, with these pieces, you have to be mindful not to put much on the bottom because it will make them tip over. And like I mentioned, though, because I'm going to be placing these decor pieces somewhere in the public setting, it's private, but it's public with a lot of people. I'll talk more about that. I'm going to do a video later in the week and share something very special with you. But I wanted them to be sure to stand up. So I think I'm going to do something with a couple of Jenga blocks to ensure that that happens. Okay. For the top of my egg, I'm going to create a very pretty bow. I'm going to use this white satin. I love a white satin ribbon. To me, it is just so clean and fresh and classy and beautiful. I love white satin ribbon. So I create a 4-loop bow. I'm going to use my wire as I always do. Now this egg I want to as well to be attractive from both sides. So I'll tell you how I achieve that here in a bit. I'm going to create another set of tails that I'm going to place on the other side of the egg. Very easy to do that, by the way. You can actually add tails to a bow. I'll probably include that in my bow tutorial, how to add an extra set of tails. Okay, remember the ribbon that I put the trim on? Now I'm going to use it. Look how pretty. Oh my God. Okay, so yeah, I did something else on here that I absolutely loved. This is my little container of half pearls. I purchased these half pearls in the jewelry department at Hobby Lobby at some point in time. The container with the little drawer that you see those pearls in, I got that at Dollar Tree. And that works so great for things like this. So I keep them in there. Now I'm going to take one of the half pearls that fits comfortably in the center of the flower. I'm adding pearls to the egg in the flowers. Oh my gosh, I love this. And to tie together the whole look how pretty. To tie together, I got sidetracked there because I absolutely love this touch on this piece. I'm going to put pearls, a bigger half pearl in the center of my bow on the top of the egg. I'm going to show you that here in a bit. But yeah, front and back, did both of the front and back with the flowers. Okay, now guess what I'm going to do? Again, I'm going to create that little draping effect over the egg. So I believe this time I cut, I think I just cut a 12-inch and a 10-inch. And then I did the same procedure. I folded in half, fold over my loops, make sure the satin side is facing up. And I'm just going to put that over the top of my egg to drape that. And that's going to hold my bow that I'm going to be creating for the top of the egg. Okay. So at the very top of the bow, I'm going to glue my longer line bow on there. And then the other one on top of it with the hot glue. Then I'm going to create a little bow to go right in the center of that. And again, to control those loops of my line bow, I just put a dab of glue under there, right there on top of the flower, press it down, and that will control. Now, look how pretty that is. Okay. All right, so now I have this pretty ribbon that I created by gluing that trim to that grosgrain ribbon that I had purchased at Walmart. And I'm just going to create my figure 8 loops. And I'm not worried about a center because remember I said I'm putting a half pearl on there, a bigger half pearl. That pack of half pearls that I got at Hobby Lobby has an assortment of sizes, and it really comes in handy to have those. I have them actually in white, and I have them in an off-white too. I love my trims. I guess you know that by now. Okay, so I pull that wire nice and tight, and I have that bow all made, and I'm going to put a white satin looped bow underneath that. I'm going to pair it up with that one right there, which I created in a figure 8 fashion, and I'm going to glue that together, matching up the centers. And I got my needle nose pliers to squeeze that together super tight. And of course I angle the tails of my bow. I like for those to cascade down the front of the egg a little bit. And that's going to go right in the center. Just like that. Now, notice the tails will only be on one side. So I'm going to show you how I took care of that. So you see I put a little bit of glue there, and I'm almost out of frame, but you can still see what I'm doing. Sometimes it's hard, to see exactly, because sometimes I really need to be sure something is completely centered. And sometimes I need to be like right over the top of the piece. Okay. All right. Now, as I mentioned, for the center of this bow, I'm just checking to make sure everything's even and correct. Okay. So right here, I cut a couple of tails. Now, what I'm going to do is put a little dab of glue on the end of that ribbon there. And I'm just going to insert it underneath the loops of the bow. And this is how easy it is to add tails. This way, my egg is going to look good. I'll show you this better here in just a second. It's going to look good from both sides. And it's that easy to add tails. So I'm going to do the other tail, placing a little bit of glue on the end of the ribbon. I think I had to do that one again. Okay, so I just nestle it under the loops, and that's going to hold just fine. So then I do the other one, and then I also had a little bit of that ribbon left over from when I created the trim on the ribbon, so I was able to add those tails as well by doing the same thing. Little dab of glue, lift up the loops, poke it in there, voila, you have tails. How about that? I hope that along the way, as you watch me craft and follow my channel that you're learning new things, something that you've never seen before. I tend to come up with ideas, so I've been told. And just by, crafting for years, I've figured out a lot of things. So I'm always happy to share those things with you. Okay, so I guess you're probably getting tired of me being almost pretty much out of frame. So sorry, trying to make sure I get it on right. Like I said, this piece is going to be seen by a lot of people. Okay, so I have this beautiful, larger size half pearl. I put it right in the center of the bow. Now I'm showing you here the finished pieces. I've also put a couple of other little half pearls right there. Did you see that? The little bit smaller ones on each side of the bigger one. I have my tails on both sides. Everything is all finished and beautiful. You see the pearls on the top there? And then I have my bunny with my paper rose. There's my tail all finished. See how I finished it all the way around? And then I have my trim, which matches my egg. I'm showing you here as they'll sit together, and they're going to look so pretty. A little set of Easter decor. And then the egg, which I adore. Tell me what you think of these pieces and which one is your favorite. And also tell me what you think about Dollar Tree. This just turned out beautiful. I have to say, love the way these turned out. And I'm so glad to share them with you. Okay. That's it for this video and all 3 of these projects. Ta-da, I'm done. Okay, so one last look as I have them outside in the natural light. You can see the flowers a little bit off-white, but inside, I'm telling you, it looks white. Okay, so until next time, you all, and I will see you later in the week with a special announcement video that I'm going to share some awesome news with you. Okay, remember to subscribe if you're not currently. Give this video a thumbs up and leave me your comments. You know I love receiving them. Okay, until next time, you all take care.